Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finale of Final Fantasy XV Lucis Vaults. And speaking of vaults, we're in Steyliff Grove. Where do you think Steyliff Grove's vault is? Right behind this wall. Literally. After you beat Steyliff Grove the first time, you're not allowed to even come up here. It just literally kick you out the dungeon. But after you beat Quetzalcoatl the second time, you could come up here. Well, for the hunt anyway, you could come up to that hole in the wall. However, you wouldn't be able to do anything until you got the key from Esma. And now that you do, now it's time to go in what is arguably the most annoying of the bunch. Okay, this is actually hard for one reason and one reason only. It's like 100 floors of at least several enemies that could actually insta-kill you.
Let's hit it.
I mean, not all of them, just a good number of them. And on top of that, they have some stronger enemies later on down in this dungeon. But you have to be at least level 86 to come. Anyway, first off is Havoc Fang. This will be making up the first couple of rooms in the dungeon. And yeah, this is 100 floors, let me remind you. And this is also the reason why it took me so long to upload this. I said Monday morning, and unfortunately it's Monday afternoon when it's coming up because of the fact of the processing. And the fact that I worked overnight yesterday. But that's not the point.
Bring on the next one.
The point is, it's gonna take me a while for this to be up. But Havoc Fangs is gonna be the first thing you're gonna run into. And the second is gonna be Imps. They'll pretty much comprise the first 10 floors of the entirety of this dungeon. Okay. I mean, there's only like 5 rooms with these imps, but for some reason, I do believe this dungeon has at least a majority of insta-kill enemies taking up majority of the dungeon. You'll see when I get there. But I decided to not use the Magitech exosuit for part of the dungeon, and I'll use it for the remaining half. Why? Because I want to get this over with. This is 100 floors of enemies that are higher than, like, 75. So I'm not taking any chances, you know what I'm saying? And I might as well get used to using Mega Phoenixes, because that's exactly what you're going to be doing if you're not going to be going in with a Magitech exosuit. And yeah, I'm skipping a lot of floors because why fight the enemy once and then I move on. Speaking of which, see this guy? He takes up a majority of the damn dungeon. Yeah. You see all of those rooms that he's in. And the worst part is, he was actually the boss of Below Mine. So, this guy, you should already know how to beat. However, he's a little bit stronger due to the fact of being in this dungeon. He's level 83 as opposed to level 78. No, I actually know he's level 83 in that dungeon too. I just remembered. But, yeah. Great Swords is actually going to do the best amount of damage, and if you're not wearing a Magitech exosuit, do not be in the line of that tri-beam looking attack. He will petrify you, he will insta-kill you, but more importantly, he will also inflict more stats that you could imagine, and I do believe Psychomancer is like the ultimate form of the Lich, not the Mind Flayer. I made a mistake in Below Mine in mentioning that. But yes, this is the ultimate recolor of a Lich. And don't worry, this won't be the last time you see him if you come in this dungeon. Anyway, we go on to what's going to be showing up in the next 10 floors. Oh, basically it's going to be every 10 floors. It's going to be a haven. The thing is, these havens do not carry anything special except for mega elixirs, high elixirs. Those actually do help, but they're not anything special like weapons. It's just more items that Gladio can easily pick up with his fitter survival, if you happen to have that. Or basically his survival in general. At level 10, that is. So, with that said, I'm going to go on ahead and eat the golden tail soup. And we're going to proceed on with the rest of the dungeon. I mean, I already had golden tail soup, but the thing is, by the time I got to the dungeon, it was almost gone. So, I might as well eat golden tail soup now and just prepare myself for what is essentially going to be a very long and annoying dungeon. So, let's do this. Of course, I do have to make some warnings when coming into this dungeon. Do not, under any circumstances, forget to grind for a freeze. Now, what essentially is a freeze, I'm pretty sure you probably already know. It's the highest level of ice magic. But the only way you can grind for freeze is basically, well, before you come into this dungeon,
Just about awake.
you go out to Ravato, you get the Papa Bird, the Papa Bird and Baby Bull, and you go out and hunt for Zoo, and you'll end up getting Zoobies. And once you do, you'll just craft your ice weapon, and you'll craft your ice weapon, ice magic, not ice weapon, sorry, and you'll be fine. The only reason why I'm saying something here right now about that and not discussing what's going on screen is because you've already faced these guys. They're at a higher level, and that's the only difference between these guys and Moroni you face in other dungeons. They're practically the same one-hit kill samurais. I mean, it's not hard to actually tell you exactly what they are. They'll just be there as soon as you leave the dungeon. And that's immediately after you go to the campsite. Now, the only reason why I'm showing off this fight, this is one of those rooms that has multiple floors.
Time for horseplay!
And the multiple floors will serve its purpose, as they also hold accessories that you're going to need. Well, 2 of them anyway. I don't mean like multiple floors, like there's like several floors, like the cave structures of most of the dungeons I've been in. No, I mean they have other rooms that hides items, like the Celestiad and the Purifying Salt that was in the middle of the room. That's the only thing of importance here on this floor. Purifying Salt increases your magic. I'm pretty sure I've already stated what the Celestiad is and how this was one of the... Actually, this is the place where they actually moved the Celestiad. So, with that said, we might as well just go on ahead and go to the next room, which has a Legata Spangle. That's the 14th room. And the 14th floor had the Legata Spangle. That's what it is. And that's an important item, and I had to show that off. Oh, here we go. Machka Moose. I mean, Matcha Moose, not Machka Moose. What are they, Rusev? My bad. Anyway, Matcha Moose is moose that have, how should I say it? Okay, they're basically invulnerable to fire, and I do believe ice, and they're invulnerable to fire and ice, and only lightning can actually kill them, and also the Lucis ring. Make sure you bring the ring of the Luci, because you're gonna need it, because Dulce and Custard are here too. Trust me, when I get to them, I'll tell you more about them. Also, in this next floor, which is B26F, the Emperor's Anklet has a 50% chance of showing. Yeah, it's just like, I can believe it's, what was that? Oh yeah, it's just like with Crest Home, where there's like a 50% chance of certain items showing up. This is one of those rooms, and this is one of those items. So you have a 50% chance of getting the Emperor's Anklet. Excuse me. Runny nose there. Let's see if there's anything else here. Oh, debased coin. I am so selling that. I've got a lot of debased coins in this damn dungeon. I really don't need any more. And the Emperor's Anklet is weaker than the Anklet of the Gods. So on that note, let's go on to the next enemy that's going to be prevalent throughout the entirety of this dungeon. And that enemy is Tonberry. You'll have a mixture of either 2 or in this case 4. Tonberries are weak to ice. Ignis's enhancements will definitely help you out in this dungeon. You will need them, you will want them. Oh yeah, and Libra Scientium is not a bad idea either. And also, these are one of the reasons why you're going to need freeze. Because, again, ice magic. Now, if you're wearing the Magitech exosuit, that would be a bad idea because I will lower your energy for the Magitech exosuit. But if you're not, that will pretty much, while it will freeze you too, at the same time, you'll be able to do some severe damage to the Tonberries. Because for some inexplicable reason, ladies and gentlemen, this strand of Tonberries HP is 363,000? No, it's 333,000. Yes. And I got 4 of them in the room. That is way too much health for the Tonberries. I mean, I shouldn't complain, because challenge. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been saying that this has been fake difficulty. This is one of the reasons why I mentioned that the dungeon, not the vaults, are fake difficulty. Because they tried to bring in recolors and rehashes instead of creating, like, new and powerful enemies that aren't recolors, that are probably unique to the dungeon. Oh, by the way, the Balmung is in this particular area. Instead of creating some new and unique enemies, they just go for recolors and stronger rehashes. That's basically the thing about the dungeons, well, about this dungeon that I don't really like, and the vaults in general. Now, the Balmung is probably going to be stronger, however, it's going to take your MP. I'm still going to wear it though, because so long as I have high MP, Balmung is a really powerful weapon. So, yeah, now it's on to the bottom floor after, I think, floor 31? Yes. Floor 31 is where we're going to start meeting Regitrice, but there's only 3 floors where these things exist. So, or I should say Regal Trice. I call them Regitrice because, well, Regal, Reggie, they're kind of in the same boat. But Regal Trice are going to be here on this floor. So get used to seeing them for a couple of floors. It's only going to be 3 of them. So I wonder what else is down here in this horrible, horrible floor. I mean, horrible dungeon, sorry. Ah yes, Killer Wasp. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've seen these guys enough. They were in the last part. And also, I forgot to mention one other thing about the Killer Wasp. Yes, they can insta-kill you. They've done it to Ignis, and that was when I was over a piteous dungeon trying to fight these things off without the Magitech exosuit and at a low level. So yeah, these guys insta-killing you is a bad thing. Alright, moving on. Next up is Royalisk. Wait, we haven't gotten to it yet. There we go. Next up is Royalisk, and you'll see Royalisk for only 3 floors. Royalisk is the same as it was in Steyliff Grove, not Steyliff Grove, I mean Crestone Channels' dungeon, unless you didn't take that one on first. You would think this would be the ultimate challenge, but Steyliff Grove, well, that'd be a different story. Not Steyliff Grove, I meant Crestone, goddammit. Why do I keep getting the two confused? Sorry about that. Now then, let's go down to the lower floor here and By the way, we are in camp on room 40, and now room 41, and probably for the rest of this dungeon, you're gonna see King of Trice. Oh wait, we're in the 50s, never mind. Because the 40s is, well, practically, the 40s are practically, the 40s were practically rehashes. That's what it was. There were rehashes of every enemy I just mentioned above you. That's why I didn't show off room 40. Room 50, on the other hand, is going, well, 51, sorry, on the other hand, is basically going to be the King of Trice for the rest of the dungeon, because it shows up about 6 spots. However, by the end of the 50th floor, 459, you will find Wyvern. You remember these guys, right? They came from the Rock of Ravito. Thing about these guys, they've been beefed up. Again, fake difficulty. I mean, just like the Wyverns over in Ravito, they can fly. Problem is, they're at a higher level, and on top of the fact that they also tend to do like a flame attack if you're not careful. I mean, they added that to their repertoire. But again, this is the only room you see for Wyvern. And for the record, you have items. You could just go on ahead and use them if you're not using the Magitech Exosuit. And God, I love Impulse. I love Impulse very much. Too bad that's not going to be maxed out. However, Gravisphere and enchantments will be maxed out by the time I leave the vault. Alright. Hey, well at least that blindside strike actually landed. So quite frankly, in order to deal with these menaces, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to dodge. And you'll probably be taking on elixirs and also Phoenix Downs, because sometimes they'll actually hit you for a lot of damage and then take you down for a one-hit kill. Sometimes, not all the time. Because you could still avoid their telegraph maneuvers. But due to the fact that there's like 3 or 4 of them, or at least there were 4. Ooh, Dragon Claw! I needed that! I definitely need that Dragon Claw.
Impeccable.
And yeah, I kind of had to cut that out. No, I didn't cut that out. My DVR cut that out.
Let's celebrate by eating something.
And also, the Aegis Shield is on the same floor too. But yeah, my DVR cut that out. I obviously win, and I managed to get 2 more Dragon Claws from that fight. And Dragon Claws are fantastic. They are good for giving yourself powerful magic. And remember I mentioned Dulce was here? Oh yeah. Dulce is definitely here. You have the Ring of Lucis? Make sure you use it on Dulce as soon as you get out of the campsite. Dulce is only here for 3 floors on the 70th string of this dungeon. And I think Mind Flayer is here for about 3 floors on the 70th dungeon. Custard, on the other hand, is here for 4. Yeah, Mind Flayer is in basement floors 72, 75, and 76. So get used to seeing these guys. This is the only appearance you'll ever, well, those are the only 3 appearances, sorry, you'll ever see of Mind Flayer. And unfortunately, for Mind Flayer, it's actually pretty easy compared to having to deal with, say, Psychomancer. Oh yeah, and Psychomancer still have a chance of dropping those ultra rare weapons here, so I don't know if you could farm them or not, or if you just beat the dungeon and you're done. I'm not sure. But I do believe you can farm them in the Royal Edition of this game because they do appear. And Custard is right here. Custard takes up the remaining of the 70th floor, and that's pretty much it. Just use the Ring of Lucis, and that's all you have to do. Alright, we're going to be going into the next area of this dungeon, and more importantly, the next boss. Or should I say the next fight, which will take up the 89th floor and 3 of the last 10 floors of the dungeon. Mega Tonberry. Or should I say Master Tonberry. It's just like Sir Tonberry, but Master Tonberry goes into a triangle formation. Oh, and for the record, if you see any prompts, make sure you use them. And be careful, his close range stabs really hurt if you're not using the Magitech Exosuit. Otherwise, all you have to do is just keep the pressure on him with great swords, and more importantly, just like with the regular Tonberry, Master Tonberry will go down easily with ice. But this particular floor, actually no, it's the only reason why I had a cut in the actual playthrough is because of the fact that the DVR stopped, because 3/4 of the fight was Master Tonberry, and on top of the fact that he has about 565,000 HP. Oh, and a mithril ingot's there. I should have marked that down. I probably will forget about it, but a mithril ingot is definitely good. But yeah, Master Tonberry having almost half a million HP, and there's 4 of them. That is definitely fake difficulty. Oh, and by the way, the Centaurian Bengal is on the 94th floor, which you will also find a Master Tonberry there. Alright, next up. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. I was choking up a little bit, and I didn't want to actually do that on screen. And I apologize for that, but Griffin! Yeah, you guys remember this one. This is over in Fossil Hollow. He's one of the actual rare monsters that, I wouldn't say rare monsters, more along the lines of he is one of the enemies that you had to face for Sonya's quest. Yeah, you had to get a griffin feather from it. And if you managed to score one by fighting it over in Fossil Hollow, then congratulations, you didn't have to go through the trouble of fighting it again. Now, the reason why I didn't use up all of my magic against Dulcet Custard is because of the fact that I was saving it for this thing. Yeah, it turns out Griffin is weak to fire. And Griffin will stupidly go into the fire. It'll go into the fire, knowing that it's weak to fire. Now, the only thing that you need to worry about is the fact that Griffin loves to stay in air. It will try to dive bomb you, and if you actually block it, you can counter it with a blindside strike. But hitting Griffin with flames will definitely pretty much wreck its shit. Again, just like trying to get ice, freeze, sorry, flame, all you need to do is get some Zubeeks and collect some magic. That's all you have to do. Now, speaking of freeze, we're gonna get to the enemy that actually needs it. Melancholic. I think I pronounced that correctly. I hope I did. You're gonna need this because obviously melancholic is a recolor of Quetzalcoatl. And more importantly, it will fire ice. This is not a unique enemy either. Again, recolor. But while it's on the ground, make sure that you try to take as much hits as humanly possible off of it. And if you do have armature, make sure you use it because melancholic, can't really tell the difference because they both get stuck on a wall. Aha! progress. Melancholic will just hover around and try to zap you. That's what it was trying to do. Go for an all-out attack. Just like Quetzalcoatl. But unfortunately, it left itself wide open. I hit it with a freeze while it was vulnerable, and now it's pretty much dead because there's no way it's going to get out of there before freezing to death. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the Lucis vaults.
I believe so, yes.
All of them are done. Now we could go to Esma, but first, we're getting the Flare. The Flare is actually the best lance in the game. Or, at least I think it is. Hold on. Yeah, it's the best lance in the game. It's better than the Precision Lance, but I'm giving it to Noctis. Why? Because I can. It's time to take off these exosuits, boys. We no longer need the exosuits. We no longer need to have to worry. I mean, we definitely no longer need to take on the exosuits, because guess what? If you're going up against Omega, well, they're useless anyway, so might as well take them off. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, all challenges before you go and buy the Royal Edition or the Season Pass have been cleared. So my final thoughts towards these vaults: fuck the vaults. As I stated throughout the playthrough, fuck the vaults. And I gave my reasoning. First off, fake difficulty and recolorings. That's it. And to make things even worse, they're holding captive the best weapons in the game through those vaults full of fake difficulty. Now, I will give credit where credit is due to V Infinito. As bad as that dungeon is, at least it changes up the design of the dungeon. Here, like, majority of the dungeons are caves, and the majority of the dungeons is descending basements. So, really, there's not much to go by as far as the dungeons are concerned. The only thing that is, like, difficult about the dungeons is the fact that, difficult is the fact that Casa Mark is the worst one, because it prevents you from using items. At least the others have it to where you can use items. I mean, yeah, there are some enemies that will steal your items, because, like, every vault except for Crestholm has demons that can steal your items. And that is a pain in the ass, by the way.
Let's hit up the shop. Sounds reasonable enough.
But all in all, it's practically fake difficulty, with Kikatric being the easiest, and Fossil Hollow being slightly easy, and every other just falling in line.
Good to see you back, boys. I heard what you did. You faced the threats and defeated them all. With this, you fulfilled a promise that was made long ago by none other than your father.
What?
It was some 30 years ago. His Majesty came here, stood on that very spot, and took the vow.
To chase out the threats?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. As soon as the war was over, he said.
The war.
When the Crown City fell to the Empire, I thought it spelt the end of Lucis. I truly did. But a light that burns so brightly doesn't go out so easily. Thank you, Prince Noctis, for everything. So long as you're alive, I know that the kingdom is safe.
Now, this is where you would get the black mask, or should I say the black hood, for actually beating this dungeon. However, that changed thanks to the update. Now, I do believe you got the Hunter's Medal. And what exactly does the Hunter's Medal actually do? Well, just like the Dragon Fang, or Dragon Claw, I do believe, the Hunter's Medal actually does something fantastic. And what thing does it do fantastic? Well, let's just go to Elemency and show you. All I need to do is find an empty one. Ah, there we go. Let's just increase the amount of fire I'm going to use. And let's pick that Hunter's Medal. There it is. It gives you limit break, but while it gives you weak limit break, it gives you about 50 of them. Yeah, that is a lot of magic. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we are done here with the vaults in general. The next time I actually swing by the universe of Final Fantasy for real this time, it's going to be 13. But my next playthrough will be announced during the week, along with some other updates. Other than that, I will see you probably in 3 days, where the update is going to be posted on YouTube, because I've got to clean out my computer for a lot of space. See you guys next time.